All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy KEO. You already know. And yeah, today we are doing another case study, of course, on the S&P 500. If you know, you know, that's pretty much all I've been trading in the last 2 years. And yeah, today I'm going to show you how today we made a little close to 700, but we'll go ahead and round it up to about 700. All right. But yeah, diving right into it, guys. If you guys know how I trade, I use smart money concepts mixed with ICT concepts. And yeah. So going ahead and diving right in, as you guys can see, I have some indicators here marking up my session highs and lows, making it a little bit easier for me to just kind of go ahead and peek and look and see what price is already done, prior to the markets being open. But in this case, this is obviously the entire day. So I'm going to use this bar replay tool, which you guys should take advantage of in TradingView. And if you guys need, a little code to, get you a little something, something off on the TradingView, that'll be down in the description below. So, yeah, getting right into it. This is the 15-minute time frame, typically what I do all my markups off of. Now, generally, I don't like to use indicators. I usually like to have naked charts to where, there's nothing on here. But just for teaching purposes, I'm going to have these lined up here showing you your Asian session high and low, your London session highs and low, and your New York session high and low. Now, granted, this is the 15-minute time frame, and I like to do a top-down analysis. So, considering that we are intraday traders and we are only looking for trade, a trade, right? One trade, maybe two trades, if we need to, but not really trying to force more than that, right? So, one and done basically, if we can. Now, I do have ways that you can scout, but the way I like to teach is intraday just because, again, it teaches you a little bit more patience and you get to really learn how the markets move throughout the day. And then you just kind of get to see it over and over in due time. But yeah, looking at the daily time frame, as you guys can see, this was the previous day's high, previous day's low. Of course, have those marked up because high volume of liquidity rest above. And in this case, we also have this fair value gap on the daily, which yesterday's candle, as you guys can see, reached very low and very deep into price, tapping us into this fair value gap. Now, again, for those of you guys that don't know what fair value gaps are, they act as magnets to price, but they're essentially imbalances in price. Now, why is it an imbalance? Well, think about it like this. For those of you guys that didn't have the opportunity to buy from down here at the bottom, well, obviously you missed out. But for a price to make it more fair for us, in order to get an opportunity to take a trade in the opposite direction, right? To buy high or buy low, because the name of the game, of course, is to buy low, sell high. So in this case, today we were buying. My bias was bullish. And yeah, went into this daily fair value gap, right? So now it gave us that fair opportunity to get into a buy position, right? So how can we have gotten into this position? Well, we know that we are into this area. Now we need to scale lower. But what time frame do we really need to look at in order to see where, how can we really align ourselves with price? So I have this little template saved here for reference, showing you time frame alignment. So essentially, once we reach a point of interest, in this case, it would be this daily fair value gap. We want to align ourselves now on the 1 hour time frame. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and scale down because we've already seen that the daily candle has had a significant movement back up, and that's actually pretty typical. Reason being is because when you see large moving price moving down very quickly and aggressively like that, it's bound to have a, you know, somewhat of a retracement or a pullback, you can say. But it's bound to have a rebound. So in this case, it did. Now looking at the 1 hour, if you guys know how I trade, it's kind of like my bread and butter setup when it comes to looking at order flow and how we want to align ourselves. So came down into our point of interest. We're on the 1 hour time frame now, trying to align ourselves with order flow, and we have this low, right? How do we know that this is a low? Well, we got this one and we got two consecutive bullish candles, right? They closed bullish, confirming this as a short-term low. Oh, let's go ahead and mark this black. Boom. So two bullish candles right here confirming this as a low. And then we get all the way up here. We create this high. And again, vice versa, we're looking for price to establish a short-term high, which we do right here. How do we know that? Well, we get these consecutive bearish candles, right? So we get one bearish candle, and then we get that closure below that first bearish candle. So confirming this as a short-term high. And once again, we get a price movement in the opposite direction, right? So typically we like to see speed, which we got this one candle, we got 1, 2, which this is kind of one candle, but you can use this next candle right here. That's that second candle to really confirm volume. And you can see right here, we have our change in the state of delivery. Okay. Now for me, I pretty much look at these as breaks in structure or market structure shifts, or you can really just look at it as an order block, right? Now, there's so many terms and technical terminologies that you can, use when it comes to trading, but just really keep it simple, right? So right here, this is my market structure shift, right? My shift in structure or the shift in order flow. Again, whatever makes it easier for you to understand, okay? So boom, we get the short-term low, we get the shift right here, and we kind of see that price was doing what? All right. During the London session, we're going to go back down to the 15-minute time frame, and we're actually going to back price up a little bit. So this is going to be right before market open. We'll mark up 9:30. I'm on Central Time, so, 8:30 my time. Anyways, you guys can see price has been bullish on the higher time frames. And if you watched the last video, you know I dropped the sauce, right? What did I say? What happens in London happens in New York. So what happened in London, right? Look at the trend. We were what? Bullish in London. Okay. We were bullish. So you got all this sell side liquidity, all these lows that are more than likely to get ran, including this session low, right? Let's just mark this up like this. Boom. And then we got our London high. Obviously, you guys see this. This is pre-market, so we also got to make sure we account for our pre-market highs. All right, this is where the liquidity is resting. Okay, this is where we make our money. This is where money is resting. So, name of the game. Anyways, long story short, if you guys were in the Fowler 500 Discord, you saw early this morning, I sent this idea out where it went like this, where we would run the London low and have a reaction to the top side. All right. So the fact that we know that we were bullish in London, we knew that price was likely to find some sort of area of interest, which we have pre-market lows right here. We have another low right here that we can mark up. All right. And of course, we got the London lows. So one of these areas, we had to find some kind of interest to look for long opportunities. Okay. So my bias was bullish this morning. Heat maps were actually pretty mixed. It was a little bit more on the bullish side for me. Granted, there were some big time players that were a little bit more bearish, but just looking at the fundamentals and the technicals all together, it gave me the clarity to, decide that I want to be bullish today. So keeping all that in mind, this is what I was looking for this morning, and I will go ahead and deep dive into the high frequency time frames and show you guys how we caught today's trade. So obviously, this is right before market open. Again, we got everything that we needed marked up, so we have our areas of interest, right? To figure out, okay, if we're gonna take a trade, where are we gonna take a trade at, right? So I got everything marked up. Super simple. You guys seen how easy that was to set up. And I do this every day. I can do this by myself probably in like 3 minutes, right? 2, 3 minutes. So market open, get the first candle. And as always, what are we doing after market's open. We're waiting for that first fair value gap to form and show itself, which right here it appears. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna mark that up. Uh, what color? I like this color. It's not a BPR, but you know, if you know, you know. We'll go over that another lesson. But you guys can see this low right here ran, pre-market lows ran, what's happening, we're getting a reaction, but now we have this area where we can potentially look for shorts, right? And again, we don't play both sides. We stick to our bias. I'm not looking for shorts. I'm only looking for longs. Why? Just because it makes it more probable, right? I want to keep my wins and my losses, you know, I want to keep my wins high, but my losses to a minimum. So I'm only looking to take one trade in one direction only. So yeah, getting back to it, walking through price. Price comes back into this area and we get another shift lower, right? So we test this gap. And boom, we get what? Another fair value gap. We can see that prices starting to do what? Aggressively move down, showing us that the momentum really is to the bottom. So in this case, yeah, we could take a short off of this. We could wait until price comes back and retest here. We could wait for it to run this high to catch shorts. But as price is already gravitating towards this low, this London low, it's like, whatever. But as always, same thing with the bread and butter setup. Basically looking for price to come down to one of these lows, establish itself, kind of do something like this, right? And then come retrace back into this level and we take off, right? I'll make this more visible for you so you guys can see. That's what I would look for. Or, price could do this right here. Run this low after liquidity's been taken once more. Just another quick little move. Nothing too, crazy. Same exact setup essentially, just the low gets ran one more time. All right, bread and butter setup. Those are the two setups I take and I look for. Very simple, very easy. Feel like a kindergartner could probably spot them out. Uh, so price just keeps continuing to dig lower. And then as you guys can see right here, we finally get what? Those two candles. So gonna mark this off as a low. And basically, what am I waiting at this point? So we got one bearish candle. I want to see one more bearish candle, right? So boom. Instead, what we get right here, as you guys can see on this next candle, this 1 minute candle, we have a bullish candle, right? And you can see that it closed over this wick, right? So now, just to get a little bit more technical for you guys, to give you guys more clarity on price actions when it comes to reading these candlesticks, right? So this essentially is probably like a 30-second or 15-second move. I don't have access to that, but you don't really need that. But if you're able to really read candlesticks and price action and just essentially just watch how price starts to close, this is basically what price is looking like right here, right? So basically you would wait for price to retest this area, which would be kind of like this move, and then price would continue higher, right? So I've seen this move many times, but in this case, you guys know how I am when it comes to my trading style. I like to stick to what's clear and what I've seen multiple times. Now, I've seen this happen before. I haven't back tested this setup enough to know that I can have complete confidence in this. So as today went on, you guys can see fair value gap made, boom, doing what? Showing us that price is starting to push away. So we'll mark this off as green just because, it's a bullish fair value gap. So essentially at this point in time, you would want to see price probably come back down, test this order block, which there's a gap right here in between showing you that this is basically a unicorn model on a high frequency time frame. Um, but yeah, that's kind of what you would want to look for. In this case, I didn't catch it again just because I didn't feel confident enough in taking this setup because this is not the setup I was looking for. So again, typically when you miss your setups like this, you need to have other ways to get into the markets, right? So shout out to ICT for giving us so many different models and so many different ways to kind of, you know, mark up the charts and give you, different ideas on where you can get into a trade, right? So understanding that price is already pushed bullish from this point, and we have came back over what this fair value gap. This is the first fair value gap that popped up, right? I told you guys this would be important for this specific reason, right? So this is how I was able to capitalize. And yeah, so again, shout out ICT for pointing out the first fair value gap, letting us know that this does act as support and resistance. And yeah, so I just kind of I've back tested this but plenty of times before to know that I could trust this as a support area where I can look for a trade. So I went to the micros today. I scaled into the micros just because I was like, okay, well, I was gonna go minis down here, but because price had already flew away from me, I decided to scale down even lower. Okay. Yeah, you good. So yeah, with that being said, this is where I got my entry. I placed a buy limit here and I had my stop loss all the way down here, just in case if price wanted to come all the way back down here and retest this area, just like it did right here, right? So again, same thing I showed you guys in the last video. Even if you do get your entry, because this has happened to me time and time again, you get that sniper entry, off of this first shift of market structure, right? Price moves up all the way just to come back and either stop you out or break you even, right? And then continue in your direction. So, same exact scenario. I was just keeping that in mind on the 1 minute. So, I had my stop loss down here, but this is essentially where I took my trade, right? Now, as far as targets go, okay, as far as targets go, looking at the risk to reward right here, this London high, easy target, right? Obviously. Or wait, I think we were in the London high, yeah. Sorry. This high right here. Obviously, easy target, but if you look at the risk to reward, it's kind of stupid, right? It doesn't make sense. It's not even a 1-to-1. Not, you know what I'm saying? That's kind of crazy. So, looking back at it, let's go ahead and go to the 1 hour, right? So, let's pull out some of our tools that we have here on TradingView, right? So, one of the tools that I have here is this fib. So normally you can use this for discounted pricing as far as entries and different various ways to enter the market and exit. But in this case, I'm using the silver bullet measurements and settings. I actually pull these up. You guys can screenshot this, kind of just go through. So yeah, those are the settings that I use. Now, basically, these are essentially just deviations and levels that I would look to be targeting for price, right? So if I was entering down here, this would be my TP1, but for today, we're just going to make this weekly open a overall target for the day. But really, I think we're going to swing back to all-time highs. We'll see how price wants to react. US 30 is kind of getting up there, and Q's kind of moving up there as well. And, S&P is slowly making its way as usual. But hey, that's the S&P for you. Slow and steady returns. As you guys know, it does, the most when it comes to returns year over year. So I just, trade with, what's safe and, my investments are good. So, yeah, with that being said, I think we're going to swing back up here. But keeping all that in mind, getting back down to it, this is where I caught my entry, okay? Now I'll kind of walk you guys through like where I entered, where I exited. So now you guys have an idea of where I may want to look to target, which in this case, hold on, sorry, I didn't have it marked. There it is. Boom. So we can use this high right here, but I like this up here. So this is at least like a 1 to 7. All right, so now we got a good clear target, okay? We got a good clear target. I'm making this super easy for you guys to understand, right? Super easy, right? All we're doing is watching for liquidity to get ran, and we're looking for price action to show us that it's moving in a direction, right? Where the order flow of the banks and institutions are moving. So again, this is where I got my entry. Let's see if we're able. Boom. So we're just going to use 5 contracts for the minis. And yeah, so I'm gonna let you guys know. I think I actually decided to close out part. Let me see. I think I closed out around 75. So this is a quarter level, as you guys know, an area where price can act as a magnet, same as like the weekly openings, midnight opening, market opens, daily openings. Whole bunch of opening gaps, right? Things that you don't see or most people just aren't aware of. But because you're watching my videos, now you're aware. You can go do your own research or you can tap in with me and I'll get you right and teach you a little bit more in depth. But for now, you guys just pay attention to the videos, okay? I got a lot of sauce to drop, you know what I'm saying? A lot of sauce I'm dripping, man. And this is just the trading, right? I do a lot more outside of this, but let me not go too deep into that because my that's how my brain works. Sometimes I'll go down the rabbit hole. But yeah, we're into the trade, okay? Boom. Price getting jiggy. We getting squiggly. And boom. All right. So we up right here. I'm basically like, all right, yeah, we sliding. And price gets up here basically to this level. And what do I do? Well, if you ask me, I'm gonna go ahead and pay myself, all right? So I went ahead and sold off most of my position, right? And what else did I do? Not only did I sell off most of my position, right? But I also made sure that I broke even. So let's stop loss right here. So I went ahead and said boom, stop loss break even. Guess what? We won. We won the day, right? We made sure we paid ourselves. And that is the name of the game. You got to pay yourself. And then guess what? You manage your risk. We have managed our risk. We are completely risk free at this point. All right. We have made profits. In worst case scenario, if price comes back down here to our stop loss, guess what? We still make money. We still win. All right. So yeah, getting in there, just kind of watching price. You can see we start to get those candle closures right here. So this is a short-term high that was established. Boom. And price continues to just climb and climb and climb. You guys can see right here. I'm gonna just go ahead and quickly mark this up just because, again, I don't want to make this video too long. I know it's a lot of gems I'm dropping, but hey, I'm just here to give value and change lives. So yeah, equal lows right here. Same thing, bread and butter setup. Bread and butter setup, okay? Run of liquidity, then we get what? The shift in market structure, right? We don't get a strong shift. So price, because we didn't shift so strongly, price decided to go and test down here this bullish fair value you got, right? So you could have got an entry down here if you wanted to, but yeah. Or if you wanted to, again, balance price range right here. Or really it's an inverse fair value you got. Sorry. IFBG right here, and you had another one right here, but this is the deepest one at discount. Again, we just draw our tool up here. In this case, we'll do 50%. So you guys can see price came back down from a premium to what? A discount. Because we're not going to buy high, we're going to buy low, right? So there's many different ways to get into the markets. It's just up for you to spot, okay, where is price looking to target? Has it targeted a certain area? And where's order flow moving? Okay. It's that simple. Okay. And as price continued to make its way downtown, it's walking fast and it's homebound, right? So we get all the way up here. As time is getting close, I'm like, all right, well, yeah, as you guys can see, it's pretty much end of the day. I'm like, I might as well be done, call it a day, and we gonna cash out. Because I'm not really sitting here trying to manage this trade like that. It's gonna close out on me regardless. So I'm gonna call it that. As you guys can see, this was a whopping move, crazy move. Um, and yeah, so that was today's trade breakdown. Essentially caught over 40 points on the ES. And yeah, imagine if I would have pulled the trigger on the minis, right? I mean, my stop loss would have been stupid to start off, right? I probably would have been risking about 1,500. I typically don't want to risk more than like 500 to 1,000. You know, 1,000's cool, but 1,500 is a little, that's kind of pushing it, right? So this, I guess, would have been worth the risk, but again, we manage our risks to each their own. And at the end of the day, we lived to trade another day. We protected our capital. We managed our risk. We made money. So with that being said, I hope you guys learned something today. If you guys have any questions, make sure you hit your boy up. All my socials will be down below. Also, join the Fowler 500 Discord. The links will be down below for that. And yeah, check out all the other videos. Go show them some love. Throw some comments in there. Follow me on the socials. Tap in with your boy. Again, man, this has been, 10 years in the making, right? In about 2 more months, this will be my 10th year trading. And I didn't get here by coincidence, right? And I'll just kind of leave it at that and just say, hey, y'all continue to tap in, like this video, subscribe, leave some comments, and I will see you guys in the next video. All right, peace out.